Hello, kiddies. It's your old pal, the Crypt Keeper. And you're listening to Three Guys in a Flick. The good, the bad, and the gruesomely absurd.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
I think the only way to stop him is to make another movie. Now, I swear to you, I'm going to stay by this computer and keep writing until I finish the script, but when the time comes, you're going to have to make a choice.
Choice? What kind of choice?
Whether or not you're willing to play Nancy one last time.
Three guys and a flick with Duncan and John. Dive into the movies well after the dawn. From the good to the bad to the wildly absurd. They give a fuck about films. Their voices are heard.
Welcome back. You are listening to Three Guys in a Flick. This is where we review the good, the bad, and the absurd. Tonight's episode, Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Beware spoilers. Coming to you from Freddy's Temple, my name is Don. And to my right, we have the comic book guy, John.
Howdy ho.
And to my left, I'd like to welcome back for her second time around. This is Elyse.
Hello.
How are you guys doing tonight?
Pretty good, but where the hell is the professor? He wasn't here last time.
I know, but we came into this temple and we went down that chute and he wasn't behind us, so...
Did he get caught up in like that barbed wire or whatever it was?
I have no idea. But either way, the professor has the night off. Tonight, we are talking about Wes Craven's New Nightmare. We're talking about this movie because John and I have reviewed all of the Nightmare on Elm Streets, and our goal was to finish it out this year. And I think we already did 5 and 6 recently. And now we are coming to what I consider the conclusion of the Nightmare on Elm Street series, Wes Craven's New Nightmare. As a side note, I consider Freddy vs. Jason an epilogue and very much part of the pantheon of Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th. So,
yeah, I'm really looking forward to when we get to that one.
Yeah, that's a really good one. That's a good one. Released on October 14th, 1994, Wes Craven's New Nightmare was directed by Wes Craven, written by Wes Craven, and it stars Robert Englund, Heather Langenkamp, Miko Hughes, John Saxon, Tracy Mindendorf, Wes Craven, and a bunch of other actors playing themselves.
How'd this movie do, Don?
This movie was made for $8 million and brought in, well, $20 million.
Which was the lowest in the franchise history, which I found surprising.
Yeah. However, it did have a couple things going against it. It came out in 94 right along with Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. Did you see this in the theater?
Yeah, of course I did.
Yeah?
Yeah, this was definitely a theater go for me.
Yeah. Little one, when was the first time you watched this movie?
When we watched all of the Nightmare on Elm Streets.
Which was?
2020.
So what you're saying is that I was way too young to be watching these movies.
I was 13.
Yeah, again, way too young to be watching these movies.
But you started her to watch these movies and movies like this as a survival guide, correct?
Absolutely. My daughter will definitely be a final girl, for sure. I have no doubt in my mind with that.
I read the book Final Girl Support Club, too.
So,
very cool.
Yeah. Just real quickly, out of all of the horror movies that I have subjected you to, who is your favorite slasher?
Like killer?
Yeah.
I think Freddy, but it's like kind of a draw between Freddy and Ghostface. The only reason it's not Ghostface is because Ghostface changes too much and it pisses me off.
Oh, okay. That's a good answer.
I don't think that the choices for Ghostface have been good every time. But the choice for Freddy has always been. Freddy's played by the same person every time, except for in the new one. So, actually, I don't know if it is Freddy in this one.
Yeah, it is. That's Robert Englund.
Robert Englund did all of the franchise ones.
Yes.
He didn't do the reboot, but...
Jackie Hale early did the reboot, and we actually did review that way long time ago.
And
So
I don't think we liked it too much.
no, it didn't do very well at all. At all.
One of the reasons why I've heard this movie, besides coming out at the same time as Pulp Fiction, this was one of the few movies where we didn't really have teens in the movie, and we didn't have Freddy stalking teens or killing teens. So that was the age group that really associated with this movie, that went and watched these movies, and because of that, they didn't have that characters to associate with. So there wasn't a lot of draw for those people. Plus, the whole meta feel of it was kind of new and crazy.
Yeah. So if you listen to the last podcast where we said it was the final nightmare, at the time, everybody thought it was the final nightmare. And then one day, Bob Shea calls Wes Craven and says, hey, I know things haven't been great with us in the past. So regarding Nightmare on Elm Street, you felt kind of dissed and not respected throughout the whole thing. So I'm here to make it right. And Bob Shea gives Wes Craven cuts in the sequels and some of the merchandising. And he says, and while we're at it, what do you think about bringing Freddy back one last time? Your version, right? And so Wes Craven was intrigued, and he's thought about it, and he went and he watched all of the movies. And he says that he couldn't put it into any logical form.
Yeah, he couldn't follow them.
Yeah.
The story.
Yeah, the rules, the stories, the characters, this, that, and the other. And so he wanted to do something completely fresh.
He also kind of pitched this idea when he was pitching number 3. He wanted to do kind of a meta version, and it was way too early for that. People didn't get it, and they didn't want to do it back then.
Yeah, 3 comes out 7 years earlier than this, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a couple of ideas for it. I remember seeing that the original title of this film was going to be called...
It was supposed to be Nightmare on Elm Street 7, The Ascension.
Yeah, dude. Did you hear what the plot line was about?
I did not.
Have you? Wes Craven is on... It's meta. And Wes Craven is on the run from Freddy because he's trying to write the script, but Freddy's after him. And he even goes so far as to cut his own eyelids off so he stays awake. They wanted Michael Berryman to drive him around in a van. And
the guy from Weird Science?
And he also have eyes, mostly, right? Same character, the bald-headed guy. Listeners, you know who I'm talking about. But no, they didn't go that route. They went a different route, and Wes Craven created something that I think at the time not a lot of people understood or got. But ironically enough, he takes the outline and the idea-ish 2 years later and reinvents the genre once again with Scream. So,
what did you think of the new look for Freddy?
I really loved it. And what I love most about this film is Wes Craven took us back to basics. He didn't want the MTV jokey Freddy. He wanted something darker, something evil, scary, and he wanted to take it back to his roots. Apparently, Wes Craven would have nightmares all the time, and he'd have a little notebook by his bed, and when he woke up, he would write down his dreams. So he could
That's how Stephen King writes a lot of his books.
Sure.
It's based off his own nightmares.
Yeah. And so he comes up with this idea of there's an evil, an entity, and it's not necessarily Freddy Krueger, but in our time, it takes the presence of Freddy Krueger.
It latches onto the stories.
Right, because this is centuries year old, this entity, this evil, if you will, right? And once the stories have been stopped, the evil is released upon the real world. And that was kind of the concept of this. And I dug it. I thought it was original and new and so much different than all the other ones. I really enjoyed it. What'd you think of Freddy's look?
Well, Elyse, what'd you think of the new look for Freddy?
I thought it was cool. I think I like the Freddy from the first movie the most. I think he looks like he was actually burnt alive. I think part of it and why I don't really like the new Freddy is because he doesn't really look like a burn victim. He looks like a person with plastic on his face.
I'm going right there with you. I was not a fan of the new Freddy. I thought the face looked plastic. I understand they were trying to make it look like he was more of a demon, more stripped off his face. I've always been a fan of just the classic look. In fact, Wes Craven said he regretted changing the look because, as he put it, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Because he felt it was too much of a departure from the original Freddy Krueger.
I felt the new makeup in the shadows and in the dark was some of the best. But I agree with you both. When you see him in the hospital room with Julie and in the coffin, it does kind of look plasticky. But England, I think, gives it the gravitas it needs, and because he definitely plays the character way different, and it's not my favorite, but it's not my least favorite. I would take this makeup over 5 and 6 Freddy any day of the week.
I would almost call this Botox Freddy. It looks like he's had some work done, some plastic surgery, something.
Because it's not Freddy.
Yeah.
It's an entity. Since this is the end of the series, not counting Freddy versus Jason, we'll do that in a minute. Where is New Nightmare on the list?
On the top 7 list?
Yeah.
For me, it's easily top 3. I would put this third.
Okay. What about you?
I'd also put it as 3.
Yeah, me too. This comes in strong at number 3.
If you throw in Freddy versus Jason, that's where 3 and 4 kind of go back and forth depending on my mood that day.
Oh, sure. And like I said, I would consider it an epilogue. And so for me, it comes in after Dream Master.
Yeah, because for you and Elyse, I believe you guys have said in the past, it's 1, 3, and then New Nightmare.
Yep, that's us. And then with you, it's 3, 1, New Nightmare.
Correct.
Yeah. All 3 solid choices. Let's talk about this cast. A lot of them come back, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. I loved how they got Heather Langenkamp to play Heather Langenkamp. What'd you think of Heather?
Well, of course, I'm a huge fan of Heather. In fact, we're just like this, we're best friends.
Yes.
I met her one time. I've said this, I think, on every review we've done.
Yes.
That I ran into her at a hotel one time when she was checking in, and I just decided to be that guy and went up to her and kind of just fanned all over her. Basically said, I'm a huge fan of you. You are my favorite final girl, last girl in any movies. And she just got so excited and she gave me a huge hug.
I love that.
And so I have a picture of her in the hotel lobby.
Yeah. What about you? What'd you think of Heather in this role?
Nancy's my favorite final girl, and that's why my top 3 are my top 3. If it doesn't have Nancy, it's not on Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, you didn't like Alice?
She's fine. I don't think she's my favorite final girl.
I didn't say she was your favorite.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. She's fine. I feel like I would prefer Sydney. I would even prefer Sydney to Alice.
Okay, that's fair. That's very fair. I thought Heather Langenkamp did a fantastic job playing Heather Langenkamp in this film. I think this is one of her best performances. And I don't know why, watching it this time, preparing for the pod, I like this movie even more. Now, it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. They're like the plastic-looking Freddy, right? It's not perfect. But I think the core of it is fantastic, and Heather really holds it together.
People always wonder, or who don't really follow her or stalk her like I do, what she's been doing and what she's been up to. Because she really started in television. She started with Growing Pains and The 10 of Us and other different shows and stuff. What has she been doing since Nightmare on Elm Street and during the other filmings? She's been working with her husband doing FX.
Yeah. They run a special effects house, and she's been behind the camera. Mm-hmm. And what's nice is they work that into this script. Craven goes to her and says, I want to use part of your life. And he totally gets permission from everybody whose real life aspects that they put into this film, which I thought was awesome.
Now, something that I brought up before we started recording was the man who plays her husband in this movie is an actor, is not her actual husband. And why is it? Why isn't her husband in this movie, Don?
Her real husband was asked to be in this film because he is a special effects guy. And he said he didn't want to do it because there's a curse or it's bad luck for that to happen. And so they got a fellow by the name of David Newsom to play her husband. And he's been in a handful of things. I remember him from the 90s. And he said when he walked into the room, he was the least looking special effects guy ever. All the guys in there were all dressed in black because that's what you do. They all had heavy metal shirts on, long hair, beards. It was just that thing. And here's this clean cut nerd walking in, and he gets to be the special effects guy in the movie.
Well, you mentioned curse. And then what you mean by that, I believe, is that FX guys don't put themselves in the movies because that's just bad luck. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm confused on why you corrected me.
Because all you
But
said was
it's a curse.
he wasn't in the movie.
People know what a curse is.
Well, what curse? Is it a curse that he would be in the movie? Is it a curse that
The movie would be cursed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
You
pretty.
just said-
It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple.
But you just said a curse.
That's more stuff I got to cut. Pretty simple.
I don't think it was very explanatory.
That's you.
Okay.
Robert Englund.
Always excellent.
What'd you think of him as Robert Englund and not Freddy?
I love the balance that they were trying to show. They were portraying him as artistic and friendly and kind, and this character that you don't get to see from Robert Englund very often, since I think V when he played Willie.
Sure.
And then that contrasts so heavily with the fact that they took, the Freddy character to the extreme dark and evil.
What about you? What'd you think of Englund in this?
Was that his real house?
No, I don't think any of it is their real house, but
Should have been.
of Robert Englund's?
The house was beautiful.
You're thinking of Wes Craven.
No.
The one with the pool?
Yeah.
That's Wes Craven.
No, Robert England, because he was painting.
Oh,
Yeah. They all seem to have pools. Heather had a pool at her house.
maybe I'm just not with it today. So,
But I like Robert England. I've never seen him in anything other than Nightmare on Elm Street. So I've never seen him as like a good guy before.
We should play V for her, the series.
oh,
Make her watch it.
it's fantastic. Great series. Great series. Brian would love it. I thought he did a great job balancing both acts. I really like the bits where he is Robert Englund, and when he's Freddy, like I said earlier, it's a different Freddy, and I thought it was done very well. Since this is your third favorite Elm Street movie, is this your third favorite Freddy performance?
It's hard for me because, kind of opposite of you, I like when he got campy and funny and MTV and all that. And so I always want to go to the one-liners. Which movies did he have the best one-liners? Or which movies he had the best just over-the-top kills? And that's not this movie.
Not at all. No.
So this would fall lower on my favorite Freddy scale.
What about you?
I think he's like number 2. I like number 1. I like the first, I like the original Freddy the most because I don't like MTV Freddy because he becomes less scary.
Sure.
I mean, the point of him is he's creeping in the back.
Sure.
He's a child toucher, so it doesn't make sense that he'd be funny.
He was not a child toucher.
He was a child toucher.
He was not.
He was a child slasher
So I guess in ways he did touch the children to slash them.
with his sharp objects.
Yeah, I don't think he's the slasher. You are taking
James
the
Earl.
mythology from the remake because they heavily put that in there, but never once in the look. Listen to me. I'm trying to make
they do.
slashing sound.
No, they do
okay.
because they talk about the daughter. They bring in Freddy's daughter.
Yeah, but they never mentioned that he did anything to her or with her.
Not that way.
They just basically, even in 6, they said that he really was all about just getting rid of
Killing?
their kids. He was getting revenge and all that, and even though he was killing them before they killed him. But Miko Hughes, what'd you guys think of the Gage from Pet Sematary?
I liked him so much more than Jacob
Mhm.
from 5. I thought he did a really good job. I remember the first time I saw this movie, I kept thinking to myself, well, what kind of a weird kid. But as I got older and paid more attention to the movie, the way he did it, I guess it makes sense. However, what I did hear in an interview somewhere is that all of his scared reactions, he's actually scared in that moment. So we are watching them traumatize this kid.
Did you hear how they made him
Film.
cry?
Yes, Wes Craven would go up to him and say, your mom died. And so the kid would cry. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they'd buy him a Happy Meal afterwards.
Yeah. And fans, just so you're not too worried about this guy, Miko Hughes, we met him at a Crypticon a couple years ago, and he seemed to be okay, right?
Super nice guy. He even signed my Rex toy.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
stuffed animal. So he's super nice. And he recently got together with a Kickstarter group and they made a sequel, like a little mini sequel to this movie called Never Sleep Again. It's on YouTube. If you get a chance, go check it out. It's actually kind of fun. And then the guy that they get to play Freddy Krueger in it does a fantastic job.
Isn't it called Dylan's New Nightmare?
Yeah, it's Dylan's New Nightmare, Never Sleep Again.
Are you sure Never Sleep Again just isn't the name of the documentary?
Pretty sure.
Oh, okay. There you go. Check it out. I haven't seen it. Have you seen it?
I have it actually on DVD or Blu-ray. I can loan it to you sometime.
Oh, that's
And
right, because you got Rex.
the Kickstarter.
Yeah, I'd like to watch it
Yeah,
for sure.
And I think it did pretty well. I mean, it's for YouTube and all that. There's talks they may make another one.
Oh, fantastic. John Saxon comes back. He's in this for about 2 minutes, but I liked him. What'd you think?
Did a fantastic job on just playing himself and revisiting his earlier role in Nightmare on Elm Street series. I thought it was such a great blending, and he was just so perfect.
Yeah, it was very seamless, right? He really did they do come across as friends, and here tell they were friends, because I think John Saxon's passed on now. But yeah, I really enjoyed him. What'd you think of John Saxon? Do you know who I'm talking about?
Nancy's dad.
Nancy's dad.
Oh, no, I did not. I thought he was great.
Oh.
Well, because he gave her, like, I liked his role in the movie because it was very, like, friendly and very nice, but it was like, he seemed like he had played her dad. Like, I feel like in a lot of interviews and things of, like, people who play that father-daughter relationship, there is, like Millie Bobby Brown and David Harbour. Like, when you see them, like, talking in interviews, like, they do have, like, a, like, energy to them that's very similar to, like, a father and daughter energy that I do think they, like, were able to carry over into the scenes. Especially when they were, like, at the park and he's standing on the thing and he's, like, just reassuring her that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, he just, like you mentioned, seamlessly. You could tell when it was John Saxon, and you could feel when it was Nancy's father.
Oh, yeah. Tracy Mindendorf, she's new to the series. She plays Julie, the babysitter.
Seems like they always have to have a blonde in the movie.
I equated her to Tina's role.
That's kind of, which makes sense because she goes out Tina style.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought she did a good job. I didn't mind her at all.
Yeah, I thought she was a great addition to it. Clearly, the story is mostly revolved around Heather and what she's going through, and so she was a good asset to her. What do you think of Julie, the babysitter?
I've never seen her in anything else. I've only ever seen her in this movie, but I thought she did a great job in this movie.
Yeah, I agree. So you get 3 of New Line's top people, right? You get Bob Shea, Wes Craven, and Sarah Reisher. They're all executives. Well, Wes Craven has passed on, but they were all executives at New Line at the time, except for Craven, but they all play themselves. Out of the 3, and Sarah Reisher is the gal who greets Nancy and they shake hands. Oh, wow, it's a blast from the past, right? Out of those 3, who do you think played their role the best?
All 3 of them obviously are not trained actors.
Right.
You could easily feel, especially Bob Shea. Like he was a struggle. I would say out of the 3, I think Wes Craven did the best out of the 3, but still, again, it was a struggle.
I totally agree with that comic book guy. I think Wes gave it his all and put his heart into it. But yeah, all 3 of their performances kind of made me chuckle.
It felt like the other 2 executives were, like, nervous in front of the camera. They were, like, giggling, like they didn't take it super seriously. And it was like Wes was like, I gotta do it.
Yeah.
I gotta try.
This is not the first time Bob Shea has put himself in one of the movies, but I think this is the first time he's really had this extensive of an acting role.
Absolutely. And because he likes that, right?
Yeah.
In the earlier movies, he gets to have cameos and he always gets to be excited about that.
He was the ticket taker in number 6, wasn't he?
Yep.
The bus ticket.
And who was he in 2?
That I don't remember. Was he in the bar?
He was at the bar, dressed in leather.
Okay.
He was the bartender.
Yeah.
And then I think 3 or 4, he's a teacher. So, yeah. And we've said this 6 times already. So we'll say it for the 7th. There's a fantastic documentary out there called Never Sleep Again, 4 hours, all the films, including Freddy vs. Jason, behind the scenes, things you don't know. It's absolutely fascinating. It's one of my favorite watches. I think I watch it at least once a year.
One other person I want to bring up in this movie, and I don't remember her name, maybe you do, was the actress who played the nurse or the doc. I don't know if she was a nurse or doctor. Or...
Fran Bennett.
So Fran Bennett, that's her name.
Yep.
I thought she did a pretty good job in just the parts that she was in, playing that you don't want to like her, but again, she's trying to do what's best.
Miss Langenkamp, do you let your son watch those films? So good. I loved her role. And she is very much the voice of the MPAA, and she is the voice of the audience. And, you know, as a parent, you have to ask yourself, should you be letting your kids watch these movies at that age? And can it cause damage? Right? And so Wes was using that in the film to make it even more meta. And my favorite bit in that whole sequence is when she wants to cut the evil out of him and she raises her hand. In that documentary, they talk to her and she says, I'm classically trained. I came in and played my role straight, but as soon as I put on that glove, something happened. And I'm like, yeah, I bet it fucking did. Yeah. What'd you think of the doctor?
I thought she was. I thought her character was interesting. I thought that everybody moved on from the husband dying way too quickly. Because why are you trying to take this woman's son away? Her husband was just killed earlier this day, earlier this afternoon. There's got to be something going on.
And that's a fair point. I didn't even really think about that, about them moving on from Chase's death so quick.
Yeah, that's a good point. One other character that I want to bring essential into this discussion is the glove. The glove, I feel like, is a character in every movie.
I agree. It's not my favorite.
Yeah, what I was going to say, I'm classic. I love the classic Freddy glove. I have a glove collection. I have 3 or 4 gloves.
Yes, he does.
For different moods that I'm in. And this is not one that I'm not even interested in getting. I'm just not a fan of it.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of it. I understand what they were trying to do. They were trying to make it more organic.
Mm-hmm.
But giving him a claw on the thumb, I thought was kind of weird. And just the look of it, it didn't look organic. It looked mechanical like it did in the beginning of the film.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of his glove here?
I don't like the robot glove.
Yeah.
I don't like the robot glove. It rubs me the wrong way. There's something wrong with it. I know that's the whole point, but I don't like it. It scares me still.
We ready for a little bit of Freddy trivia?
Are you ready to take your old man on some trivia?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. I have prepared a series of questions. In the beginning of the movie, as Chase is leaving to go off on his next job, what is his final words to Heather as he goes out the door?
Dawn, I'll see you soon.
Wrong. Elyse, you got anything?
No.
His final words were, knock 'em dead.
Knock 'em dead. Knock 'em dead.
Okay. When Freddy shows up during the interview, when Robert Englund comes through the paper or whatever it is and comes out as Freddy and all that, how many green stripes are on his sweater?
Oh, Elyse.
Elyse?
2.
No.
3.
Wrong.
Okay, what is it?
It changes every movie, but in this movie, I counted them. There were 4 green stripes. Some movies there's 5. Some movies there are 4.
4 green stripes.
When Dylan puts all of the little pieces of paper together, what does it spell out?
Elyse.
Elyse.
Answer the phone.
Elyse gets a point.
God damn it. I knew that was going to be one of them.
So Elyse is ahead by 1 point.
Thanks, Captain.
When Julie in the hospital scene is getting killed Tina style, what is her final words?
Dawn.
Dawn.
Help me.
Dawn gets a point.
Nailed it.
He's back at 0.
Oh, that's fucked up.
So there you have it. Elyse is our winner this week.
You got lucky, kid. You got lucky. Heather Langenkamp lives in Los Angeles with her husband Chase and their young son Dylan. Known for playing Nancy Thompson in a Nightmare on Elm Street series, Heather begins experiencing strange and unsettling events. She has a vivid nightmare where her family is attacked by a new version of Freddy Krueger. When she awakes during an earthquake, she discovers a real cut on Chase's finger, matching the injury from her dream. Soon after, Heather starts receiving disturbing phone calls from a man reciting Freddy's nursery rhyme in a chilling imitation of his voice. At the same time, New Line Cinema approaches her about returning to the franchise for a new film. Dylan begins having terrifying episodes, screaming about Freddy and refusing to sleep. Things escalate when Chase falls asleep at the wheel while driving home and is violently killed, slashed by Freddy's claws. After his funeral, Heather's fear deepens as the line between dreams and reality begin to blur.
So from the start of this movie, we go meta. They don't even have any opening credits in this movie or the title of the movie.
But the opening of this movie, the first couple of minutes, is very reminiscent to the very first film, right? He's in the first film, he's in his boiler room creating this claw. In this, he's creating a claw, right? And what'd you think of this whole opening? That it not being the movie, that it's the making of the movie.
I watched this movie with people who have only ever seen the first Nightmare on Elm Street, and they both looked at me and they went, "What the hell is going on?" And I had to explain that, well, this story takes place outside of the movie, and I really liked the intro because it explained everything that I I was gonna have to explain. I just told them to shut up and watch the movie for like the next 10 minutes, and it would all make sense. And it did.
There you go. What'd you think?
I thought it was a great opening because I remember the first time I saw it, I didn't expect that pullback to be the film crew, the special effects people with the more blood and all of that stuff. I kind of thought, ooh, this is kind of a cool new idea that Freddy's replacing his hand with the actual glove.
And we get Wes Craven coming in going, more blood, and really shove it in there like Freddy would. I mean, he's giving direction and you're thinking, oh. And one of my thoughts is, I'm not sure I would have my son sitting there watching this. But at that moment, all we assume is that it's the new Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
I didn't see it as a dream.
Neither did I. And again, a Nightmare on Elm Street movie opening on a dream sequence? Check, right? Because as this moment is going along, the mechanical glove comes alive and kills people. Which, I mean... Okay, I'm just going to say it. It kind of looked a little hokey.
That's the one thing, or one of the things that this movie lacked was creative kills. They didn't feel very creative to me.
Not only not creative, not many either.
Yeah. There's only a total of 4 kills in the whole movie.
I'm trying to think who... Oh, yeah.
Because 2 of them are off screen. We don't even see the 2 off screen. The people in this movie I don't count as kills because we don't see them die. They just get stabbed.
Well, no, but it's a dream.
Yeah.
Right? These 2 don't... I mean, ultimately, these 2 are the ones that are killed later.
Yeah.
Maybe even during this dream, it's happening. But either way, it's a dream, and Nancy wakes up because there's an earthquake going on. And so we are shaken into reality just like the rest of the audience. And we are now in L.A. We are in Heather Langenkamp's room with her husband, as he is getting ready to go to work.
Yeah, he's going to go to work for a detergent commercials, and he's going to make bubbles. Yeah, is what he claims.
Right.
But we find out later he's actually heading off to work on a Freddy project.
Right. And at the same time, Heather is scheduled to go on a talk show, and she's getting ready, and she notices Dylan kind of being a little weird.
Is this one where he's watching the movie?
This is one of the first times she comes downstairs and he's watching A Nightmare on Elm Street, right? And then she gets a call. And this introduces the storyline of a stalker who is calling her and leaving threatening messages, this, that, and the other, which is actually taken from Heather Langenkamp's real life.
Yeah, she had a stalker that was sending her mail and calling her. And
yeah, I can't imagine who it was.
It was not me.
John.
It was not me because I love her too much.
Where were you in 1994?
Yeah, where were you in 1994? Ms. Langenkamp? We might have solved this mystery.
We know who it was.
Back then, I was ignored by a lot of girls.
And then we meet Julie. Julie comes over. And there's a lot of misdirection here, too, because the phone rings a couple of times.
And I have an issue with the phone ringing.
Go ahead.
And maybe this, again, you've kind of pushed me to be a little more critical about things.
Hey, I didn't do jack shit. That's all on you.
The first time it rings, she slams the phone down. And if you notice, the phone falls off the hook. It's not on the hook.
I did not notice that.
And then Julie comes in and they talk and the phone rings again. They go back to the phone. The phone's right back on the hook again.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, did Dylan hang it up? Like, who hung it up?
Dylan walked over and went, Mom, you fucked the phone up again.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So she's at home. Julie comes over and now...
At first I remember the first time I saw this, I thought it was possibly one of the people from one of the earlier movies for some reason, but no, that was dumb.
Yeah. She's going to the talk show.
And she's running late and everyone's all pissy at her.
And what'd you guys think of this bit?
It was also, again, this was taken straight from a talk show that Wes Craven went on. And I think it was with Heather Langenkamp or with Robert Englund, that Wes was really taken back by how many people were chanting for Freddy and how many kids were all into it. He was like, Freddy's supposed to be scary. Freddy's supposed to be this evil slasher. And there's so much support behind him.
Which I blame the parents. 100%. What'd you think of this?
I felt bad for Nancy. I always feel bad for actors and actresses when they like go on like TV shows and stuff, or like people try to like surprise them and stuff. I don't know. I just always feel bad.
Yeah, she wasn't in on it.
She was not in on it whatsoever. And after having that nightmare, and the cameras are all on her. I felt so bad for her. She didn't even get to like experience it privately. Like everybody's like got their eyes on her.
Well, a big thing about this movie, a big point of this movie was to try to show us the effect of these movies that have on the actors who played these characters, outside of the film. And so this was a great insight to seeing how she's feeling and how she's, impacted by these people and by the surprise of Robert Englund showing up. And
so he comes out and Freddy, everyone's chanting, and there's a moment where it's like a medium close. It's from behind Freddy and he's waving his arms back and forth, and it cuts back to Heather, and you can see in her eyes like she feels something's coming.
One of the things we talked earlier about, our top Freddy movies, which one was like the top of overall, which is the top Freddy. I thought this is one of the top movies for cinematography. And I thought the way it was shot, it felt very, I don't know how to describe it, but like even just that silhouette going through the light with the gloves and the hands, just so well done in this movie compared to some of the other movies.
The cinematographer had said that Wes Craven was not afraid to tell you a horror film in the broad daylight. And I think that's what a lot of it was too. And I agree with you. I think this film is very beautifully shot, probably because by the time he does this movie, he is the master, right? He can have his big productions. Go back to the first one. It's low budget. It's very independent, and it looks it. Compared to this one, this is very much a Hollywood horror film. So I agree with you. I love the cinematography in this.
I think the cinematography really helped this one stand out too. It like from the like first scene to the end of it, it feels like a completely different movie than the ones that you've seen before.
Oh, agreed. Absolutely. And that's what Wes Craven was going for. And so they do the show, and Freddy comes out, surprises her, and then they're backstage. And Heather had said in that documentary that the bit where Robert's signing all the autographs and she's just waiting happened to her whole life. So she says it wasn't really hard to play that part. And then on their way out, Heather gets a phone call from one of the executives at New Line and says, "Hey, Bob would like to talk to you. Why don't you come on over?" And so she does. And this is where Bob pitches her on, how would you like to join us for the definitive nightmare?
I love how she says, "Didn't you guys just kill him? Like, isn't he dead?"
And he's like, "Yeah, but..."
Well, I mean, New Line Cinema, and one of their catchphrases that they use for a long time is, "It's the house that Freddy built."
Oh, yeah.
So, of course, seeing all the Freddy stuff behind him and thing, I imagine that's exactly how his office looks.
Oh, I'm sure. Or did. Right. And so he tells her at this point, Chase is already on board. Chase is working on a prototype glove. And her face is like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I was thinking somebody's pretty pissed.
Yeah. And so I think she says something to the effect of, "Well, I got to think about it." What's his name? Bob says, "Wes is on board. He's writing a script. It's going to be great. You should do this." And then and then Heather starts asking questions, right? Are you having nightmares? Are you getting phone calls?
Every time she says that to anybody, you can always see on their face that, something is going on that they don't want to talk about.
Exactly. And so when she gets home, our poor guy Dylan is having a fucking fit in the bed. And he doesn't want to go to sleep. right? He's scared of something, and this is where we find out that he is using Rex to protect the bottom of the bed.
I really thought at some point we were going to get like a dream version of Rex fighting Freddy, because they kept making out to be Rex is this protector who's been protecting him. And at this scene, he's like, sliced up on the floor.
A little bit, yeah. He's got 4 slashes, which I'm thinking, red flag number 1, right? Who has 4 slashes? Freddy. This shit's getting serious, right? But I love the addition of that protector element to the story.
Mm-hmm.
I love that this little kid has a protector that he puts at the bottom of his bed to keep the bad man below. I thought that was a brilliant piece of storytelling. And then they see Rex, and he's all caught up. He's got the 4 slices, and they just kind of blow it off. And Julie's going to sew it. And then now Nancy calls Nancy. And now Heather calls Chase and says, dude, you got to come home.
You're in the doghouse.
What the fuck are you doing making a fucking claw? And how come your buddies Terry and Chuck weren't at work today? The stuntmen.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, I literally liked Rex being added to the story because I work with kids, so I know that like an inanimate object doesn't necessarily have to be a protector for it to give them the confidence to face whatever's scaring them. And I think that it kind of is a callback to the first movie where Nancy like goes in and like has to fight Freddy, but she has to work on finding the confidence, and so she has to set up all these traps and all these like things to like help her. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was cute that carried over into Dylan. Even if it's just his like stuffed animal, it's something that's helping him fight the thing that he's scared of.
And so Chase is about 3 hours out, and he is on his way home, and Heather's kind of struggling with what to do with Dylan. He's kind of being, I don't know, wacko a little bit.
Is this where she reads him the book in the bed?
Yeah. And they're reading Hansel and Gretel.
Which I never, maybe I did back then, I just didn't think about it, but I never got the connection of this completely foreshadows the end of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
That basically in the book, they talk about how they shove the witch into the oven, they trick the witch into going, then they close the door and burn up the witch. That's what they do to Freddy in the end.
Yeah, well, that is the story of Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah.
And what first tipped me off when I first saw it was when they start talking about breadcrumbs. And Heather says, oh, you know the rest of the story. And Dylan stops her and says, no, read it. It's important.
It's very important.
Because he knows what's coming. So it's a great foreshadowing moment. And so she continues to read. And I like how she does even question, this is super brutal, dude. Should I even be reading this to you? And parents, go back and read Hansel and Gretel. It's fucking brutal.
Well, if you think about it, like we talked earlier, it's almost like he's being prepared. He's being trained for what's to come. So he can handle it. That it's not just that it's influencing him or harming him in some way. It's preparation.
Maybe, yeah, because he does often go into a trance-like state.
Sleepwalking,
because he's so fucking tired, right? He has the wherewithal to stay awake. Just like you need to do in a Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
He needed his hypnocell.
Hey, I got some. We cut to Chase driving home, and naturally, he's falling asleep at the wheel.
What did this whole scene remind you of? Obviously, it was a paying homage.
Was it?
Oh, yeah.
To 4?
It was
5.
It was Dan's death.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, and they purposely put in several little things that paid homage to the previous movies.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But mostly to the first movie.
Yeah, this was Dan's death, falling asleep at the wheel and having the claw come up and all that stuff.
Oh, interesting. Well, I'm just glad they didn't turn him into a motorcycle like they did.
This is probably
Dan.
how it should have been.
Good point.
Number 5.
Yeah. And so he's falling asleep. He can't wake up. Freddy gets to him. And what I like about this death, if you can like anything about deaths, it wasn't too gory. It got the point across and it was done. And as soon as it happens, Heather wakes up because she had a nightmare. And Dylan is standing there with Rex saying, Rex, him and the dude were fighting at the bottom of the bed. They woke me up. I can't go back to sleep. And then there's a knock at the door.
Now, when they knock at the door, I thought they approached it wrong because the officers say, is your husband Chase, whatever, Porter, I think was the last name? Is your husband Chase? Shouldn't they have said, was your husband Chase Porter?
No, that would give it away too quick.
Exactly.
Well, but
Then you don't talk about not having a bedside manner.
well, but also legally, they can't say that until leave. I don't think so.
I just think they should have used past tense because,
Well, he was dead.
that would help him with the blow.
That's right. And we find out that Chase is dead, and then they do the push, pull, zoom moment on Heather's face.
How do they do that? I was going to ask you. Do you know how they film that? Do they do it they put her on a little trolley, or what do they do?
Yeah, you have to put it on a dolly, and you either zoom out and push forward, or you zoom in and pull out, and it'll give that effect.
Because I've
done it a couple of times.
I always thought that that's a great effect for horror movies and for shock.
It's the jaw shot.
Yeah.
When Chief Brody's sitting on the beach and the little kid on the raft gets eaten. That's where we first see it. And so we're at the funeral, and I thought this was a nice touch. You had a lot of cast members from different movies come back. You had Rod from the first movie, and you had Kristen from the fourth movie.
Yeah, you know who else would have, they wanted to approach to have him cameo in this movie was Johnny Depp.
And had Wes Craven had the balls to do it, Depp would have said,
ask him, yeah.
He would have said, yes, I would have done it.
He thought, Johnny Depp's star's on the rise. He's becoming big. It'd be embarrassing to ask him. And Johnny Depp's like, I would have freaking done it.
He would have done it in a heartbeat. And it would have been interesting to see what kind of role he would have had.
I would have put him at the funeral.
Well, of course he was at the funeral, but John Saxon was at the funeral too, right? Mm-hmm. Could he have had a bigger role like John Saxon? I think he could have. And then, should have, would have, could have. Mm-hmm. But what are you going to do? And so throughout this movie, we see that there's earthquakes that keep happening, aftershocks, and LA keeps rocking. Right?
Something like in the beginning of the movie, they mentioned there's been 7 earthquakes, I think it was.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And at the funeral, another one hits. What'd you guys think of this funeral bit?
That was pretty harsh with the coffin going down and then her going into the grave and having Freddy pulling.
Bonking her head. And
I thought it was so sad that the bonk on her head stayed with her for the rest of the movie, too.
Yeah.
It was kind of sad.
It added a little bit of realism, I think, to it. The idea that, it just doesn't heal up immediately.
Oh, sure. And this is actually our first glimpse of Freddy.
Mm-hmm. Which is an hour in that we finally get to see him.
And it's in the daylight.
In the coffin.
And we see him coming up and grabbing Dylan and pulling him down. I thought that was a good effect.
I like how they used the coffin. I like how they utilized the coffin to kind of be like a slide.
Yeah.
Because they put him on it. They put him on it, and it's not like he can climb back up it.
The dead husband coming back to life to talk to her reminded me of number 5, or was it number 4, when Alice's brother speaks from the grave.
Yeah. And even when Dan's dead in 5, he says, "Want to make babies?" One of those stupid lines. Mm-hmm. But in this one, Chase just comes to life and says, "Stay with me, Heather." And what we didn't mention was when she goes to identify him at the morgue, she notices the 4 slashes across his chest. Red flag number 2.
Did you
Freddy's coming for you.
Did you know for that scene in the morgue, they had to cut it real quick because apparently, and I tried to look for it, you can see the actor's pulse while he's laying on the table.
Oh, I never noticed that. I never heard that. Really?
They say you can see a little bit of movement or whatever. So they cut that scene. They edited that scene real quick.
Yeah. So at the funeral, she has another nightmare and she wakes up screaming. And it turns out the coffin didn't fall. There was an earthquake, but she did see Freddy in the dream.
I always talk about foreshadowing in these different movies. Apparently, this movie with all these earthquakes foreshadowed a huge Los Angeles earthquake that came, a few weeks later?
Yeah, they were already a month into shooting or something like that, and then the earthquakes happened. And Craven has the wherewithal to say, hey, go out and shoot B footage because this is footage that you're never going to get, right? Because it was footage of the damage. And we see it throughout the movie. So, yeah, good for him. Dylan's condition worsens as his fear of Freddy intensifies and his grip on reality weakens. Heather searches for answers and meets director Wes Craven, who reveals a shocking truth. Craven explains that the Nightmare films acted as a kind of containment, keeping an ancient malevolent entity trapped in the form of Freddy Krueger. But after the series ended with the Freddy's Dead, the Final Nightmare, the entity has been released. Now it's targeting Heather, its ultimate adversary, because she represents Nancy. If it can destroy her, it can fully cross over into the real world. Heather glimpses Craven's script, which eerily documents events that are happening in real time. Meanwhile, Robert Englund, the actor behind Freddy, appears disturbed and possibly affected by the same force before mysteriously disappearing from contact. As Dylan is hospitalized, Heather returns home to retrieve his stuffed dinosaur. While under sedation, Dylan falls asleep and Freddy brutally kills his babysitter, Julie. Dylan sleepwalks out of the hospital and Heather races after him as Freddy taunts them both.
So we get more scenes of Dylan kind of losing his shit.
Yep. And we see him tape some steak knives to his fingers.
Yeah, which again, this little kid actor playing that kind of character was creepy as fuck. I mean, he was channeling Gage from Pet Sematary.
Yeah, a little bit. And she even calls Robert at one point and says, hey, have you heard about this script? What's going on? And Robert's like, no, Wes is being kind of secretive about it, but he tells me, it's going to be really good. And then Heather says, have you been having nightmares? Or she says, I've been having nightmares.
And she starts talking about this Freddy that she's been seeing in it. And I love how Robert's tone changes.
Yes.
To, he's more dark, more evil.
Yeah. And then it turns out that he's painting a picture of what he's been dreaming. And in fact, Robert Englund has been dreaming of Freddy as well.
I thought that picture that he painted, if he did paint it or not, that should have been the movie poster.
That was good.
I loved that art. I thought it was a great piece.
Yeah, that was great. And so Heather has no choice but to go see the man himself. She goes to see Wes Craven. What do you guys think of this whole bit with Wes and Heather?
Wes Craven is not an actor.
Thank you.
Sometimes they should stay behind the camera.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. I mean, obviously, she's going to the master. She's going to the person that's writing the story. And we're kind of getting the idea of, is he in control of the story or is the story in control of him? Because he's writing this script that he seems like he's in control of. It's coming to him with dreams and everything. But as she notices in a little bit, it's basically in real time. He's writing what's about to happen. I
remember seeing this in the theater, and it was this moment where everything kind of pieced together for me. Mm-hmm. And I thought, oh man, that is super clever. I really like that. And what Wes Craven is doing is giving the audience everything they need to know, right? What does he tell us? He tells us that there's an evil entity and it's centuries-year-old. And we've actually been able to contain it through the Nightmare on Elm Street movies.
Yeah, any stories. It likes to latch on to stories. And once it's latched on, it's contained. But once the stories end, it's released into the real world.
And now that the Nightmare movies have ended, it is starting to come out into the real world. And it makes sense that it would go after Heather because Heather gave Nancy her strength. Mm-hmm. And so he says, I think the only way to beat this is to write a script. And then
is for her to become Nancy one more time.
One last time. And I love that. And I love that bit of dialogue. And I love how as soon as they're done saying it, we see it on the screen and then it says fade to black. And then we fade to black.
Did you try to read ahead in the script at all?
No.
I always pause it there and try to read because it does talk about what happens right after it fades to black, how it comes back on her and Dylan. And
yeah.
I really liked it. I thought it was a really interesting way to bring back Nancy. I remember the first time I watched number 3 and then killed her. I cried. It was like one of the only times I've ever cried at a horror movie for them like actually killing someone.
And so back at home, Heather is getting more and more phone calls and
mail.
And we find that she has been getting this mail that has these letters.
Mm-hmm.
And she comes downstairs one day, and Dylan has taken all the mail and spelled it out. And it says, answer the phone.
And right as she reads it,
The phone rings, and
How old was Dylan?
Dylan was 7 years old when he made this.
Okay, because that was the only thing that genuinely throughout this movie, that was the only thing I went, huh? Is because like the kid was able to scramble that out. Like I know that he also gets visions from Freddy, but like.
well, is it so much that he's in visions, or is he, because he's in this sleepy, sleepy tone, is he being possessed by Freddy?
I don't think he was ever being possessed.
Even when he pukes on her?
Yeah,
when he
no,
does
I
the
think
voices.
that was a dream. That was
Okay.
that was in a dream, because when she wakes up, she doesn't have puke on her. But before all that, we're now at the park, and Heather calls John Saxon, right? And she's like, John, dude, Dylan's been tripping out. It's really starting to scare me. And John's like, kids are kids. He's fine. He just lost his dad, for God's sakes, right? Cut the kid some slack. He's sleepwalking.
It's like the only
this, that, and the
mention of
other.
Chase.
And, Dylan had asked Heather, where's dad? He's in heaven with God. How do you get to God? You reach for him, right? And so that puts it in his little 7-year-old brain. And I guess there is this big rocket ship toy at the park that
Jungle Gym thing.
that Dylan decides he wants to reach for God. And so he stands at the top of it. What do you guys think of this bit?
It's really sad.
It's got to be creepy as fuck for any parent to see something like that.
Oh, it's heartbreaking, really, because Dylan didn't know any better. He was just literally trying to reach for God.
And that's what he says. He said, God wouldn't take me.
And it's a pretty big moment for a 7-year-old to realize that the entity that we are praying to and who's all knowing and love rejects you for the first time, right? Because God didn't pick him up; he fell. But luckily, Nancy caught him.
Do you remember?
Heather.
You said Nancy
Again.
God damn it! I bet Heather caught him.
Do you remember when we went to see him speak at the convention at Crypticon? And he talked about that scene. He talked about, I guess, I don't remember the exact details, but he mentioned that there was a lot less rules back then about kids not being safe and having to stand up on that tall thing, that if he had fallen, he could have really gotten hurt.
Yeah, but I don't think it was the shots of him were on a lower version of it.
Something like that.
And then the wide shot was a little stunt person.
Was it?
Yeah, because you can tell,
that's
because
right.
when he jumps off, that's not the kid.
That's right. He does talk about his stunt pal.
Yeah. And then hear tell that they were going to get rid of the toy and destroy it, but Miko Hughes's family lived on acres, and so they got a flatbed, and he still has that thing.
That's awesome.
As of last time we heard about it. So, anyways,
She got to him pretty quick. I was impressed with that. And this is also the scene that we get John Saxton talking to Heather and consoling her. And you can feel, even though he's John Saxon, playing John Saxon, he's got that fatherly talk with her.
oh yeah, that fatherly daughter bond type thing that they got going on for sure. And so Heather has no choice but to take Dylan to the hospital, and this is where it kind of, I don't know, goes south a little bit. Now that whenever you get someone who doesn't believe what's really happening in the mix, it turns into all kinds of kerfluffle. We are introduced to Dr. Hefner by Fran Bennett.
Do you know that she was actually named, not after Hugh Hefner, she was named after, you mentioned the MPAA?
Yeah.
She was named after somebody from that.
Yeah. That's why she represents him in the film, for sure. And immediately she's like, do you let your kid watch these movies? Have you had any history of mental illness? Your kid is sleep deprived, he's tired, and we need to run some tests.
You had mentioned before, Elyse, that it was kind of mean of them to go after her after she just lost her husband. But I think the way they were trying to portray it is she emotionally stable enough to take care of her kid based off of all this loss that she's just gone through? That maybe this loss is causing her to crack, which is also causing Dylan to crack. And so maybe that's why they might need to protect Dylan.
I think that I just also like personally work in childcare, so I like know the actual precautions around things. And like if a child loses their parents, you're not supposed to start questioning the parents after like a certain amount of time,
Makes sense.
just out of respect. I don't know. I just felt really bad for her because it had felt like in the movie it had really only seemed like like maybe 1 or 2 days had passed. So like, especially because the question of like sleep, I understand that it was for like the pushing of the movie. I just really like felt bad for the characters.
This is also where we get the vomit scene, where Dylan vomits like black ooze or something all over her. I guess that was supposed to be even more intense. Wes Craven wanted it to be flies, black ooze, and for Dylan to have just bloodshot red eyes.
Oh yeah, yeah. But it is a dream, and Nancy and Heather wakes up tripping, and she's like, "Where's Dylan? Where's Dylan, motherfucker?" And Nurse Hefner or Dr. Hefner's like, "We moved him. He's getting tested. He's fine." And she's tripping, right? And in the meantime, the hospital staff, they want to treat Heather. They're like, "You need to come with us. You need to sit down."
Well, this is where this scene bothers me a lot. Kind of what you were talking about, Elyse, is that you notice they call in the guards and, she's heading down the hallway. I thought it's against the rules, like, to do anything with a kid without a parent present. And so they should not be blocking her at any time from getting to her own kid.
Yes, you're absolutely right. But then finally, Julie steps out and says, "Heather, someone wants to see you." And Heather and Dylan are reunited. Heather wants to take him and they're going to leave. And that's when the cops come up with Dr. Bennett and they go, "We need to ask you some questions first." And then Heather says, "Okay, they're not going to let me take you, but let me go get Rex and I'll go get it, come back."
And
But
and
one of the lines, right? One of those throwbacks, "Whatever you do, don't fall asleep." And so the cops, and this is the part where I kind of had a problem with, they physically move her into this room and sit her in this chair. I mean, what the fuck's that
she
about?
felt like she was like a shoplifter or something.
Totally, right?
She didn't do anything.
No, well, she's worried about her kid, right?
And her husband just died. Like, it's very like normal for her to be acting like that. I don't know. I thought they were blowing it a little overboard of how mean everybody was being to Nancy.
Well, and she is tripping because we did miss a very important bit. Heather's at home reading, and there's another earthquake, and then the lights go out. And then she looks into the closet, and this is where Freddy pops his head out and says, "Miss me?" And they have a little fight, and she gets the
slashes on her arms.
Right.
They want to look at the slashes.
Right, because then when she's at the hospital,
they make a comment that if it had been on the other side, they would have had to like take her.
she would have been, attempted suicide.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that moment when he's in the closet, I think that's one of the scariest bits of the movie. I think it's very well done, and I loved it. So
Freddy's a creep.
We get back into the scene where Julie is in the room with him, an injection to put him asleep. And I love how, Julie is fighting, saying, "No, this is not what Heather wanted. This is not what his mom wanted." And she ends up punching one of them, which is a pretty good throw. She threw a pretty good fist. But I like how they diverted her and then put the shot in the kid. That seems so unethical.
Unethical, absolutely. And that's why she looks at the nurse and goes, "You bitch," and knocks her the fuck out.
Yeah.
It was a good hit. Yeah, I agree.
It's a common theme for the like Nightmare on Elm Streets for them to really like their medical staff is not ethical.
Yeah, absolutely.
They just do whatever they want.
Yeah. And so Julie has the task now to try to keep Dylan awake while Heather races home
And he's
to get
sedated.
Rex, but she hasn't left yet because she's still being interrogated by the hospital staff.
Was this supposed to represent that Freddy is starting to break into the real world? Because Tina never falls asleep, yet she can see him.
Julie?
Because Julie falls asleep, or never falls asleep, yet she can see him.
She can't
She doesn't see him.
Only Dylan sees him.
I thought she did see him.
No.
That's him coming for her.
That's why she's so confused and why she's like screaming so much is because Dylan's the only one that can see her. To her, she's just being like clawed from the back and grabbed and pulled all around, especially because he went from her back too.
And they do such a great job of that because Dylan is staring at Freddy and Julie's looking at him going, "What are you looking at?
Right,
You're really scaring me." And then Julie will turn around and it'll be nothing. and she'll turn back around, and then Dylan will be like, oh, fuck. And they do probably what I think is still in the top 2 deaths of of the entire series, which is Tina's death. They pay homage to it, but this time, instead of showing Julie being dragged, they put Freddy up there. And so I think the audience is seeing is what Dylan is seeing, and Dylan is seeing Freddy drag Julie after he kills her. And he even drops this line of, do you ever play Peel the Cat or Skin the Cat or something like that?
Cat, yeah.
It was borderline one-liner, funny-ish, Freddy-ish, but it wasn't, because he was more dark when he said it. It was more, to me, it was more vicious. Yes. So that I didn't mind.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to get anyone to smile. He was trying to tell the kid, I'm going to got your babysitter in front of you.
Right.
But also you get the staff running in and seeing her on the ceiling, and then also seeing all the blood and the handprints all across the ceiling. How do you explain that?
Exactly. You would think they would do something, right? But after Julie falls, Dylan bolts. He takes off. He's going to go get Rex, because he yells for Rex, because Rex is the only thing that can... I love Rex.
Well, someone also had told him, I don't know if it was Julie?
No, it was his mom.
Who said, we're close to home.
Right across the freeway.
From the freeway.
Yeah, good call. And so he takes off. And then Heather comes running in, and the hospital staff come running in, and they're like, what the fuck?
He sleepwalks.
You moron. And so she takes off.
What did you think of this freeway scene?
Bit hokey.
Felt like they were playing a little bit of Frogger. But.
Yes, and I liked it for the time in '94. The rear projection, front projection stuff worked a little bit.
The CGI was a
little bit. And when he gets picked up, I mean, are people seeing this little kid float? Is that what's happening?
Well, that reminded me a little bit of the puppet scene from number 3.
A little bit, yeah. I can see that for sure.
Yeah, he gets picked up. The scene where Heather gets hit by the car, I guess they had filmed that so many times that Heather Langenkamp couldn't walk the next day.
You know what I really appreciated about that moment is when she gets hit by the car, from that moment on throughout the rest of the movie, she has a limp.
I noticed that too.
That's very consistent.
Now, there is a scene where Dylan looks back and sees a whole bunch of Freddys.
Yeah.
And so I had to pause it because they looked kind of weird to me. Did you notice that it was all people wearing the old Freddy Halloween costume, the whole Halloween mask?
And so Heather makes it home, and at the same time, John Saxon shows up, and she's like, I got to find Dylan, right?
And we've already got to assume that Dylan's been taken at this point.
Reality fully collapses into nightmare. Heather's world transforms, her surroundings shift into scenes from the films, and John Saxon begins treating her as Nancy, not Heather. Realizing the only way to stop the entity is to embrace her role, Heather fully becomes Nancy once again. Freddy manifests physically and abducts Dylan into a twisted version of reality, a hellish boiler room-like world. Heather follows, confronting him in a final showdown. Using both courage and maternal instinct, Heather, Nancy, and Dylan lure Freddy into a furnace and trap him inside, destroying the entity's current form and its nightmare world. They awaken safely back in reality. Heather discovers a completed copy of Craven's script, now ending with their victory. Inside is a note from Craven, thanking her for playing Nancy one last time, confirming that her actions once again sealed the entity away. Roll credits.
I thought it was a great job with John Saxon showing up and that transition he makes from being John Saxon to being the father, and giving that same number 1 vibe of not believing her.
And did you notice at the same time Freddy rises from the sheet, cuts open just a little bit, but can't fully get out until, and this might be my favorite moment in the movie, is when John Saxon's like, come on, Nancy, you can't keep doing this to yourself, blah, blah, blah. And Heather stops and looks, and just, you can see the moment where she accepts it and she says, okay, Daddy,
Because-
I'll be okay,
because-
or whatever, right? She reclaims Nancy, and the moment she says that, Freddy rips open the blanket and steps out. And when she turns around, it's no longer her house, it's the Elm Street house. So she runs in, and she needs to find Dylan, so she runs upstairs, or before she does, she notices the sleeping pills on
The breadcrumb trail.
exactly, and that's all a callback. And we get that in her head, and she's thinking about when she's telling Dylan about it. And she gets to the bed. She pulls the sheet off. Nothing's there. She's kind of getting frustrated. Then she looks at the pills. She takes them, and then she uncovers the bed again, and then there's another pill.
Well, this felt to me, and again, looking for extra callbacks to other movies, this felt very Alice in Wonderland to me, of her going through, down the rabbit hole to find him.
Oh, sure.
And I thought, that's kind of a callback to Alice in the number 4 movie.
Oh,
number
sure.
4 and 5.
Sure. And so she slides down to the bottom of the bed. Oh, and first, but before she goes, she notices that Rex has been torn to pieces.
Again.
Poor thing.
But
almost to the point where he can't sew him back up.
This evil little water slide thing or whatever she goes down, I thought this was one of the best shot movies too, or one of the best shot scenes of her sliding down, and kind of creepy as barbed wire and everything else she's going through.
I liked how it went from the sheets to the tunnels to whatever.
The
the
ducts.
transition of it.
Yeah.
And then it spits her out into this hellscape-esque type place.
I think a lot of people have called it Freddy's Temple. Temple boiler room.
Yeah.
Boiler room.
I just call it hell.
Mhm.
I mean, either or. But now we are set for a showdown between Heather/Nancy and Freddy/Entity Demon. And with Dylan running interference. What'd you guys think of this whole ending bit?
I think I like this ending bit more than the first ending bit from the first movie, because I liked how much Heather/Nancy and Dylan got to work together and take Freddy down as a team, versus in the other movies it's just been the final girl. So it was interesting that was there.
I like how Heather looks at him and she says, "Fuck you," and then smacks the shit out of him. That was such a good moment.
For me, the whole build up, the whole fighting, the running around the temple, the hiding in the oven and the stretchy arm and the tongue thing, that was all really well done. The very ending and him burning up as the demon, all that's a little hokey to me. That was a little bit of a letdown.
See, I'm kind of the opposite. I didn't like the tongue. I didn't like his head expanding to eat Dylan's head. I thought that was hokey.
That was a callback to number 3. That was supposed to be a callback to when Tina was going to get eaten by him. He was doing the
Kristen.
same. That was a callback to when Kristen was getting eaten by him, the mouth expanding and all that. That was supposed to be.
Callback doesn't make it good, though.
I know, but it was a little odd.
It was dumb. I didn't like that bit. That's all I'm saying for me. Now, as far as them trapping him, I thought, oh, they just burned him alive and that was it. But no, they were recontaining him, because the truth of the matter is evil
Freddy never dies.
Evil never dies, right? It just sleeps. And
He moves on to more stories.
what I did like is how it turned him into a demon-esque before it, but the 2D flames and just the kind of look of it was a
CGI
bit
hokey.
a little bit. But I like the premise of it. I like the idea. And as it's going down, everything's going to blow up and it's coming to a close. So Dylan and Heather have to get out of there. They jump through the water thingamadoodle. Hell, Freddy Temple blows up. They come out of the bed. And I really like how Wes Craven ends this movie.
For me, my own little personal theory is, we talked about that Wes Craven brought up the idea of, he's been trapped all these years in this story, and because the story ended, now he's free to do whatever he wants. By her picking up the script and starting to read it to Dylan, she's reinvigorating the idea of story, that Freddy is part of a story, and that's what's keeping him contained, is he's now recontained within the story.
I agree. I think the whole point of it was, as soon as Craven finishes the script, he contains Freddy again, right? Because he's part of the story. Doesn't necessarily have to be made, but it's not done, right? So I think that as soon as the script is done, Freddy is contained, and we've already seen Heather read to her son, and so it's natural for Dylan to say, hey, what is this? Let's read it. And I really like it. I like how the note from Wes saying, thank you for having the courage to do it. We did it. We've contained the evil again. And yeah.
I do have one question, though.
Yeah.
You know, she starts to read him the script and tells him the story. Do you think she read the chase part? Or do you think she might have skipped a couple of pages?
Why? They already lived it, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like it's a spoiler.
So here's where your father gets gutted.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he might have known. Who knows? Who knows? Any last words?
Nancy is the best final girl ever. And I really like that they gave her something more than just fighting the same guy over and over and over.
Sure.
She not only had to fight Freddy this time, but she had to protect Dylan. And I think that was it grew her character into something we hadn't seen. And I really liked it.
It was a nice little redemption arc, I felt, of, in number 3, they killed her off. Well, in number 7, she gets to once again be the victor who walks away. And there was, of course, in this movie, since it is, again, kind of like 6, 7 is supposed to be the definitive end. There is no little, is Freddy really dead or not dead? Is there a laugh at the end or whatever? It is closure. It's done.
Nobody gets pulled through a window this time.
Yeah.
Right. Well, at the very, very end of the credits, did you hear the nursery rhyme?
I didn't get to the end of the credits this time.
Yeah, you go to the very end. You're right. It doesn't give us any pull through the window or the light turn on or whatever. It's just the nursery rhyme and that's it.
Did you catch Freddy's name in the credits?
No.
You know how they always say the character and who it's played by? It said Freddy by himself.
Oh, there you go. There you go. And that was Wes Craven's A New Nightmare. All right, what do you think? Are you guys ready to rate this flick?
I'm ready to rate this flick. John, are you ready to rate this flick?
1, 2, I've got a review for you. 3, 4. Didn't we do this before? 5, 6. It's got that crazy meta twist. 7, 8. How many fucks will it rate? 9, 10. Here we go again.
I like that one. That was really good.
That's all I got.
Normally this is where the professor would tell everyone how we rate our movies, but I will just say we rate our movies on a scale from 0 to 5, 5 being cinematic gold, 0 means we don't give a fuck about it. Anything in between, you can figure it out. So, who would like to go first? As a matter of fact, Elyse, you are the guest. You get to go first.
I give it 4.5 Fs.
Why?
Because it's not my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie, but it's a bringing back of Nancy, which I love so much, and I love Nancy so much, and I love Nightmare on Elm Street so much, that, I will watch Nightmare on Elm Street at any point. If it's on, I'm watching it. I love Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah. You or me there, guy?
I can go first.
Go for it.
Before I do, Don,
Yeah.
You want to guess my rating, which I keep changing?
I think you're going to give A New Nightmare 4.5 fucks.
Final answer?
Final answer.
Wes Craven's New Nightmare is the craziest twist on the franchise, and honestly, I respect it. This is Freddy like we've never seen him before, with that wild meta twist where actors play themselves and nightmares blend into the real world. We've seen fourth wall breaks before, but this is on a whole new level, and it speaks to the genius of Wes Craven. He didn't invent meta in movies, but before New Nightmares, it was done in artsy or satirical ways. I believe Wes Craven was the first to weaponize it for horror, leading to movies like the Scream franchise. That said, it's not perfect. It drags a little bit for me, especially early on. And I'm not a fan of the new Freddy redesign. And I definitely missed the dark humor that pulled me into the earlier movies. But Heather Langenkamp and Robert Englund, they were flawless, as always. And seeing John Saxon back, I just wish we got more cameos. Overall, it's a really cool concept, and easily a much better ending than Freddy's Dead. I'd even say this is my top 3 for Freddy Nightmare on Elm Street movies. It's for those reasons I'm giving New Nightmare, 4.5 out of 5 fucks.
Damn, nailed it. I really like this Nightmare on Elm Street. I think it was very well done. Brand new concept, a daring concept. I bought into it. I thought that Heather Langenkamp did a fantastic job. Robert Englund, all of the cast, fantastic. I like how it was meta before it was meta. This, that, and the other. They brought back the old Elm Street theme. It very much was a Elm Street movie. They had so many callbacks to other films that they were very subtle and some not so subtle. But either way, it all works for me. I'm giving A New Nightmare easily 4.5 fucks. With 4.5 fucks from me and 4.5 fucks from the comic book guy. And that gives A New Nightmare an average of 4.5 fucks, which now puts it in the 7th spot with Shaun of the Dead, Snatch, John Wick 3, The Princess Bride, and Sin City. It is slightly better than Rear Window, Toy Story, Up, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Alien, and Superman the Movie. And it is slightly worse than Rocky, Stand By Me, Quiet Place, Ocean's 11, The Goonies, and Good Will Hunting. So there you have it. It's a little skewed because we don't have the professor's rating, but... All right, that is going to wrap it up for this episode of Three Guys in a Flick. If you would like to know which movie we're going to be reviewing next, please check out the website. Speaking of which, hey, John, where can they find us?
They can find us at 3guysinaflick.com, where we go ahead and post all of our show notes. All of our episodes are there. There's a web form on there that you can use to submit a movie that you'd like us to review down the road. And now there is a link on there, a button and a link that you can use to leave us a voicemail. And what we'll do is, if you want to leave a voicemail, you can leave like a review for one of the movies, comments about one of our shows. You can tell us a movie you'd like us to review, or you can tell me how brilliant I am. Anything you want to leave, you've got a 2-minute voicemail you can leave. So please go ahead and do that. You can also find us at all of social media, where on Tuesdays, I've been announcing what movie we will be reviewing on the episode that releases on that following Thursday. You can also find us at any place that hosts podcasts, and while you're listening to us, make sure to subscribe, give us a rating, and in the comments, if you'd like, you can leave us a movie you'd like us to review.
Speaking of comments, John, do we have one for this week?
We do. This week's comments come from James D., and he's requested that we do Edward Scissorhands, not the porn one, which I think was Edward Penis Hands.
Yes, probably.
So his feedback is, recently found your show, have binged and listened to the majority. Wow, that's a lot of episodes. Keep up the great work, fellas.
All right. Thank you, James D. We really appreciate the kind words, and consider Edward Scissorhands, the non-porn version, in the Bronco helmet. I also want to thank Elyse for coming on and talking A Nightmare on Elm Street with us. Did you have fun?
I did. I really like these movies.
Good. I'm glad. We love having you on, and anytime you want to come on, you have a seat with your dad and the other 2 guys.
Now that we have finished the franchise, any final thoughts on the legacy of Freddy?
Oh, that is such a really good question. This franchise is super important to me. It has its ups, it has its downs, but overall, I think it is one of the best franchises out there. I'm solely basing that on personal opinion and nostalgia and all of that good stuff. And Freddy is probably my number 1 slasher of all time. Hands down. What about you?
For me, we had slashers before Freddy, and we had franchises of slashers before Freddy, but he really created for me the idea of the iconic slasher, especially bringing in the dark humor into the story. And I feel like he has inspired so many movies after this, trying to recapture that element. And even in Scream and other movies, you're trying to get that little bit of dark humor into these slashers to make them iconic, that it hasn't quite captured, I think, what Freddy had. I don't think there will ever be one of that level, that marketable, iconic character.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But yeah, that is it for the Nightmare on Elm Street series. Keep your eye out open for the epilogue, which is Freddy versus Jason.
Which I'm really looking forward to.
I am too, because
Why?
I think that's a lot of fun.
It's a fun ride.
movie.
But that's all it is. It's a fun
Doesn't make
movie,
any sense.
right? But of course it makes sense.
And it has
Watch it and I'll explain it to
I've
you.
seen it.
It has its goods and bad, and
Just like every movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I also want to thank anybody who listens and who has suggested a movie. If you keep listening, we'll keep recording. For 3 Guys in a Flick, I'm Don.
I'm John.
And I'm Elyse. Thanks for listening.
1, 2, Freddy's coming for you.
3, 4, better lock your door.
5, 6, grab your crucifix.
7, 8, better stay up late. 9, 10, never sleep again.
Three guys with some lights, yeah, dive into the flicks. We're here for the real talk, no time for the tricks. Don as the captain, steering us right. Kid drops now is shedding light. John with the comics, bringing the hype. From the good, the bad, to the absurd, we break it down, make sure you heard. Passion for the screen, we ride or die about movies. You know, we always give a fuck, no lie.
You guys ready?
We need a good negative one to come in to read on. You guys suck. I hate everything about you.
You guys are so wrong all the time. You guys think you know what you're talking about, but you don't.
Bring back precious moments.
Bring back precious... Wait, what? These ones?
Yeah.
These ones are badass. Yeah. Your grandpa got this for me.
It's because your father is spoiled.
Yes, right after we started the podcast. I swear to God, dude, if you keep hitting the fucking table...
I'm gonna keep hitting it now. Because I'm gonna do this.
Hang on. Freeway Gauntlet, Hollow Dodgers cars.
But it's just really cool because, you know, in Hollywood, when they get hit by the cars, they like roll.
Uh-huh.
Because that doesn't happen in real life. If you get hit by a car, you're going down.
But it would make sense.
A debilitating stab is a debilitating stab.
A debilitating stab is a debilitating stab.
I know he's a bad guy, but that's uncalled for.
No, I know. How many, as a listener, how many voicemails do we get?
You can leave as many voicemails as you would like
Okay. So who's going to listen to all of them? Is it you?
All of us.
to us.
Oh.
But if
I'm
you
just going to leave hate comments
you can
and
do it.
then support comments just for the host. So that was really rude. I do listen to your podcast. I just have to skip through some different parts because someone at this table likes to make a lot of inappropriate jokes towards you, and they make me uncomfortable.
Damn that
Well, then you
professor.
might not want to listen to this next part. All right, what do you got?
I've got a few. What do you have?
Not many, but maybe you'll inspire me. Go ahead.
I have Wes Craven's New Night Horror.
Oh, that's not bad.
I have Wes Cranking's A New Night Splurge.
I got one. Wet Cravings, A New Night Horror. Yeah, I'm going to steal that from you because I like that one.
I have very close to that. I have Wes Craven's Wet Dream. And I have one more.
All right, fire away.
I have Wes Craven Up A New Night.
Hole.
Wes Craven Up A New Night Score. Which is your favorite? You like the night horror?
Yeah, I think I like Wet Cravings, A New Night Horror.
I think that's the one, and I'd have to actually give that one 4.5 on the Jurgen scale.
I think I would do 4.5 as well. Good job.
Well, there
Good
you
job.
go.
All right, all right.
And may all your days and nights be filled with happiness. All right, fuck off. Good night.
With laughter and debates, we hit the sky. So tune in, feel the thrill, catch the vibe. As three guys in a flick, keep the passion alive. Fuck